start the class. All right, so unfortunately, you notice my communications problem here with this slide. Where are we at? It's the leadership retreat.
Yeah.
So, communications. What is communication?
Well, would it be too obvious?
Conversation.
Conversation.
It's expressing your idea through words or pictures.
Expressing your ideas through words and pictures. How about this? Tools and implements of architecture and symbolic elements most expressive have been used by the, or have been chosen by the fraternity to imprint upon the mind certain sacred truths. Thus, through succession of ages, have been transmitted unimpaired through succession of ages. Right? It's funny how much communication is actually in our ritual. That was the geometry lecture, last or second last paragraph. So communication is a lot of things. It's not just how we talk. It's not just what we put in our documents, which we're going to go a lot of the formal and informal. We're going to talk about what communication is, how to craft a message, but it's also the communicator and who's receiving the message. So, with that, every organization has an identity. So real quick, I want you to turn to somebody close by you and let's look at what is the identity of your lodge? What is the identity of Masonry? What is the message that you want to get across to not only the public, but to other members of your lodge? What is Masonry to you guys? How can you do that? I mean, the identity of Asher Lodge is ours, public. We get out in the public. That's our thing. We're out there always talking to the public. But what about your own lodges? So take about 3 or 4 minutes and just talk about someone next to you. But
we were talking about that last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a topic because we started bringing up a 5-year plan, and to start a 5-year plan, you need to know who you are before you know what to do.
that's true. How can you talk to somebody if you don't know who you are?
Well, you know, it's all about the story you tell too. Because I've been in a lot of these seminars, and that's kind of keeps coming back over and over. You have to have a story to tell. And I think a lot of the lodges don't take enough time to develop the story that they need to tell, so they don't teach the members what to say and you know, how to tell the story.
And everybody has a different story, right?
Right.
Everybody came to Masonry differently in this room, probably. Yeah, well, we all came through one-day convertibles. Yeah, well, it's not necessarily true because you made that choice to come into it differently. You asked a different question. You asked it a different way. Why do stories work?
Gives you a good sequence to follow, a good flow.
Sequence.
Well, people like stories, first of all.
Yeah, they like
Masons
stories.
like stories, that's for sure.
What is it about a story that connects people, though?
Theme.
Theme? How many people read stories in books? Watch stories in movies, right?
Right.
You feel like you're a part of something.
They can identify.
Communications, if you can get your audience to experience something, they will remember it. As a teacher, the best way I can do it is telling a story or getting them involved in making their own story. And then guess what? That message sticks. It sticks. They will remember that because they have an event, something that happened, something they can relate to, they can connect that message to. And that's huge. All right, what is communication? It's the active process of communicating. That's kind of silly, right? It actually consists of 3 things. You have a sender, right? I have the message I'm trying to speak to you, and you guys would be the receiver, right? All right, I am imparting the interchange of thoughts, opinions, information, speeds are signed. You guys can read too. I'm not going to read it for you. Because, you know, that would be a poor way of communicating. Now, guys, I do like to wander in class. That's just the way I am. All right? Document or message imparting news, views, or information. All right? Why is it important? Well, because people need to know what's going on, right? Need to share ideas and information. Share too much in front of me. Make informed decisions. How many times you guys done something in lodge that nobody showed up to? It's true, right?
Yeah.
They get up there and like, there's only the same 5 of us that show up every time. Really? You know, the junior ward, senior ward, worshipful master, secretary, and treasurer. You're like, really? Or senior, junior deacons. Really? So, one of those problems might have been you didn't have the right information. Communications didn't happen from bottom to top. Somehow you didn't realize that, you know, they didn't want to do it. Right? How many people have had something come up in lodge and then suddenly someone never show up again? These are all experiences that happen. I'm telling a story because this is a story of shared experiences, right? This is something that's happened to everybody here. Right? Understand sensitive issues. And if you could have communicated that differently, that person might have stayed with the lodge. Right? And of course, we want to have more than 5 people getting involved. But here's the key. You can shoot a lot of arrows at something, but until you hit the target, does it matter? Who's the target of your audience? In the lodge meeting, is it your members? When you're talking to the public, who is the target? Right? You can shoot a lot of arrows up into the air, but if you're not pointed at the barn, you can't hit the broadside of the barn, right? You're just shooting them all over the place, right? How many times do we go out there and we're going to send mailings off, we're going to go and do this event, and we don't really look at the target audience we want. We're going to go to the senior center because we want to get young men involved. What's wrong with my message? I'm not aimed at the right target, right? I want to get some young men in my lodge. I want to get some men with some right social and moral values. So I'm going to go to the job fair for ex-cons. What happened? I've got the wrong target, right? Okay. To be able to make sure you hit the right target, you need to have a plan. Now, how many people went to the dinner last night? They had a nice potatoes and stuff. How many people sat at the right table?
Define right table.
Exactly. We had our name badges. Supposed to be out there, go the right color.
In our color coordination
Our
system?
color coordination, but nobody knew about the color coordination until you stood inside there, right? All right. How many people here are only comfortable with hanging out with their buddies? You can have people in your lodge that, yeah, you know, it's hard for me to get out there with a bunch of new guys, so I want to hang out with my guys, right? So, I think we missed a little bit because we didn't have our plan properly lined out. We did not account for human behavior. We did not account for, hey, but nice if you told them when they picked up their little badge what it's going to be used for. They walked in the room and people sat down and suddenly, oops. You know, people sat with their buddies or they went to the wrong table because they didn't know or they came in late. So, plans need to be simple. Right? Who needs to be responsible for what? What do you do when something changes the meeting last minute? So-and-so called up and said that your junior warden shows up and calls up and says, I can't make it, I just got in a car accident. Who's filling in? Who's filling in? How are you going to communicate that to somebody? You know, even if you know a day and a half in advance. What if it's an important part? Steve's plan for if I didn't show up or I got sick, at least he had my presentation with my notes on a thumb drive in here so someone could come in and review it once before and start something, right? So the communication part, you have to have a plan in order for it to work. And we don't always think about this. How about trestle board? Who does the trestle board?
For the lodge, is that who's responsible for it?
Yeah, who's responsible for it? Who does the mailing? Who packages it all together? Do you do mass mailings? Is it on email? Who checks the spelling in our lodge? Oh my goodness. Who checks the spelling? Who's going to complain about the spelling? All these little things, who's seeing it? Who's the target? Who's the target of your trestle board? Is it members? Are you targeting the wives? We don't always think about all those things. What do you want to do with your trestle board? What's the plan? For us, we did all the mailing things and we used the great postal mass mailing issue. Oh my goodness, what a mess. Right? They changed the way they want to mail it weekly, it seems. Now you have to have 4 little stickers. You have to have 3 stickers. No, you have to have 2 on this side, 1 on that side, 1 on the other side to make sure you can mail it. It became a long and drawn out process. We finally started going half electronic and half mail because some people just like to get mail. Right? Sometimes you don't think about that too. Emotions play a strong part in our communication, right? Sometimes just don't get mail. Other than not addressed to them. It's huge. Right? So, who do we need to reach? How will you reach them? And what do you need them to know? And then all the little things, what can go wrong? Right? Like the mailing system just changed, and now you're 3 days late on your trestle board. Will it get there before the next meeting? I don't know about you, but we've had many trestle board not make it out because mailing system changed, or the junior warden was going to put a paragraph in, he never forwarded it, and you forgot track of time. It wasn't on your calendar when to mail it. This is where your plan all comes together, due dates, when you got to have it out, how far out do you need to mail it. If you're going to have a ballot to change your bylaws, how long do you have to, how much communication are you required to do? Anybody know?
30 days. At least 30 days.
2 stated communications. You have to put it out, and it has to be in a form where they can make sure they got it. It used to be you had to have it registered. Now you can put it in your trestle board, mail it out to 100% of your guys. At the next communication, you actually have to read it in lodge. All right? And then at the next communication, you can ballot on it.
And that still has to be a paper mail out too, does it?
The first one has to be a paper mail out. That's why we use the trestle board, because it goes to 100% of our members. You know, so if you want to change your dues, you better have a plan for it, right? You can't just go up there and email everybody and then we'll have a vote on the next meeting. It's all part of the plan. What's the actual process? What can go wrong? What happens when you get 5 mailings back that the address has changed? How do you make sure they get the information so you can say, oh, well, we'll just go on with it, or you do the best you can. But we all know, because we are Masons, we're moral and upright, right? A good report before the world. We're going to do our best to make sure everybody knows, right? We're going to grab the phone and call them up, right? How many people have a phone roster of everybody in their lodge that they think is valid? Is it?
Last part,
Is it?
yeah.
Last word killed it.
So your secretary's always got a job. Unfortunately, I'm the secretary of my lodge. And I will tell you that keeping that database up to date is hard. It's a communication issue, right? Email, phone, all these things. And you have to have a plan. The next part is, what about the message you want to send? It's got to be on timely, because if you mail it out late, what happens? How many times you got invitations to go to the Joby's installation?
A week ago.
A week ago. Or they give you the invitation and your stated meeting is over, so you can't read it till after their installation. All right? Written down. Why do you think I said written down?
Retain it better.
Retain it better, that's one.
It's in your refer back to it.
You can refer back to it, so you know what you actually said.
And so that people can refer back to it in their busy lives, because things do get shuffled around.
Yeah. How many times, I didn't get that email, could you send it to me again? I like it. You know, I'm a mathematician, right? So, I like Rene Descartes. He says that you should write things down because you can clarify the truth in it. You can look back at it and actually see what your message really says. Have somebody else read your message before you send it out. How many people put a message on their trestle board and didn't let anybody else read it and send it off?
That gets embarrassing.
Yeah, our original master last year had issues with that because of spelling. Great message, but you know, one spelling error or comma in the wrong spot changes the message really fast. Right? So, and the last part is what do you really want the people to know? Communication is a chain. Now I want you to know something. A chain is a chain in one direction. It's full of little circles, right?
It's almost fluid.
It's full of little circles. It goes out and it comes back, and then another one connects and goes out and comes back, goes out and comes back, goes out and comes back. But guess what? Communication is not one-way flow. I tell you, listen. Right? What happens when that happens? You have the same 5 guys showing up the same thing every month, and you wonder why it's happening. Right? Each person in your link is important. Everybody should have the same message. Now, there's some messages that you need to be appropriate for the audience that you're at, and the right timing. Like, you don't post on Facebook an award that was given to somebody that wasn't there. So he gets all these weird congratulations, and he's like, for what? Has no clue what's going on. It kind of ruins the surprise, right? Or posting about a funeral before you tell somebody that's near and dear. Right? Maybe in the military, I've seen that happen. It's not a good picture. Appropriate times and places. The same message can be given out to your brethren on an individual basis. There's a time to joke and a time not to joke. Right? There's appropriate humor for the lodge, and then there's inappropriate humor for the lodge. Especially when you have visitors, right? We all know that there's that one guy that, guess what? I know he's going to come up with that inappropriate joke. Well, that might be the time in the most friendly manner to remind him, you know, maybe this isn't the place for that. Right? Because that's a message. Right? It's communicating who you are as a lodge. So here's what you want to focus your message on. What are the things you want your audience to know? What does your audience want you to know? This is key. How many times do you think of this point? How many times do you think you want what the audience to know? What does your lodge member want you to know when you're standing up in the east? I'm hungry. I want pie. Right?
I wonder if
This meeting is too long. What is the message that they want to get across to you? We don't always think about that. We kind of blow it off. What's going on? And what needs to be clarified to misunderstanding? If you write your messages down and have somebody else read it, guess what? Well, a lot of those go away. Right? Especially the clarification point. Because that comma in the wrong spot can change the difference on how many people show up at the right place at the right time and the right stuff on. Had a funeral where people showed up the wrong way. You know, half of them in tux, half of them in suit. You know. Who do you think your messengers are? Any ideas?
Everyone, yeah.
You're right. Everyone. Ta-da! Everybody in your lodge is a messenger. Every mason is a messenger. Yes, you're the organization's representative. Anybody heard of an elevator pitch? Some of you at retail, elevator pitch, know what that means. I didn't know about it because I was in the military.
This
We don't
is
do
the
elevators.
sales you could do in a ride in an elevator, get your whole point across.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So in 30 seconds, could you tell somebody what masonry means to you? Guy honestly ask questions. How often does that happen? You stand there and go, you know, it happens. It happens to me. You know, so I had to come up with a couple talking points and just keep them in my head. What does masonry really mean to me? For me, it's a fraternity of brothers that help keep me accountable and make me a moral and upright person. You know, it's a group of brothers. It's extended family. My 30 seconds is over. Pretty cool message. You can do those kind of messages. But everybody in your lodge has to be that way. What is Ashlar Lodge? What is your lodge? How can you get that message across to your brothers for them to communicate it properly? Because they're part of your chain. What is your focus for this year? Does everybody know it? Right? So no matter what you think about masonry, the person you meet supersedes what you think about. So if I walk up there and I'm all slovenly dressed teaching this class, I wasn't happy about being here, what would you think about this class? Yeah, it doesn't matter because this leadership thing sucks. This lady is just all in fact. He had no clue what he was talking about. And it didn't matter what anybody else did. The first person you met is what set your mind straight. So think about that. What if you'd met the wrong person and you wanted to become a Mason? What if you'd met that selfish guy that only cared about standing up for himself and looking good in front of others? All right. What'd you have done? Would you have walked the other way? Or how many everybody's had a grumpy day, right? I've had those days. Guess what? As a worshipful master, you can't have a grumpy day. And you gotta walk to the front of the classroom, you gotta walk that front of that door and stand there and greet your brothers as they walk in and say, you know, I love seeing you guys, you're just awesome. And you be honest, that same attitude will affect you. That's why I had that music playing this morning. Upbeat. It had a message, be happy. Make a change in someone's life every day. Just starting off that way, you know, you don't think about it, but the message is there. Smiling, greeting people by their first name, shaking their hands. It's huge. Now we're going to talk about all the fun ways we communicate as Masons. This is the boring part of the class. You guys ready? Informal. That's email, Facebook, and phone tree. Why is that considered informal?
Because you can't
Because it's official
Paper notification.
It's not really an official notification.
It's casual.
How am I doing on time?
We're doing good. I'm going to have them turn the air conditioning on a little
Yeah,
bit.
please.
Pretty
I
warm.
only brought two shirts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
9:25.
we're
I
told
already
to wear
really warmed my
shorts.
first.
5 minutes of breakfast.
25 more minutes.
Oh, okay. So, email, Facebook, and phone tree. These are just quick ways to get information out quickly. You know, it's not a formal invitation. It's a mass emailing. So it's a simple message. You want to make this really complex? Like a 4-hour plan presentation like this out to people in an email? How much information is really going to get out? Change in time and place. And maybe dress is about all you want to send out on something like this. You know, oops, we can't hold the District 2 Warden's Retreat at Norm's because Norm's had a death and family's had to travel, so we're going to go to Dream Camp. Please respond. Just change the place. Simple information change. You don't want to put a whole bunch into it, because guess what? They're going to read it. How many emails you get a day? 200.
I'm serious.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I get like 65. And out of that 65, 25 are really important. And out of that, I read and take to heart 14 of them. So, you know what I'm saying? They get inundated. Do you want your email to become on the spam block list? Facebook has the same problem. How many people got smartphones? Facebook updates your smartphone every time someone posts. Now, I do like the calendar feature. It's pretty cool. You know, it puts all my Lodge stuff right on the calendar under Lodge. I can do that with mine. But after a while of getting mundane updates from certain people, what do? You deactivate it. So, Facebook has its issues. Phone tree is usually, like I said, an emergency notification. So-and-so died. Funeral tomorrow. Anything you can do to help, let us know. You know, that's what that's for. That's what a phone tree really is. I use that a lot in the military as our alert thing. Guess what? You're deploying. Being here in 10 minutes. Crap. Get up and run, right? Formal broadcasts. These are things that you want everybody to be able to see. They need to be scrutinized and read by other people, because you don't want a mixed message to get out there, right? Trestle board, your website's seen by everybody, right? You just don't want to post it up there and say, you know, we a bunch of guys hang out in the corner room at 10,005 and a half Main Street, Bothell, Washington. You know, this is what we do. You know, we hang out, we have dinner. You really want to have a message that can be understood by the public. Right? Now, I've emailed down a formal broadcast. What kind of information would be this one for a formal broadcast? Sometimes you do your trestle board in email, right? Your mass mailing, same idea as your trestle board. Or your registered mailing, because you're going to change the dues or change the bylaws of your lodge. Informal or personal? Me talking to you here today. Because I don't call this a formal, because we're not. I'm going to talk to you directly. I'm not going to give you a lecture up here standing behind a podium and not say anything and allow you to talk. Right. Phoning or texting an individual. Right? When I talk informal or personal, just think about an individual communication. I'm talking to one or maybe two people. Your formal, personal, stated communication, your ritual, mailed invitations, and mailed letters. Has anybody ever here got a birthday card? The signed birthday card? I'll tell you what, that's pretty cool. We started doing it about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Mail out. You wouldn't believe the brothers that suddenly show back up alive. In fact, I had to ask one guy, are you really, who are you? I don't remember, I've been here forever. And you're like, yeah, I've been here 8 years, I haven't seen you yet. You know, guess what? Those have an effect because they're focused, they're targeted for one person. You're saying, I really appreciate you, I'm glad that you're coming. Past Masters Night. You know, I really appreciate you. I hope you come. You know, we would love to hear your story. And they're thankful that you were a master of this life. Those are really important. It's the way for you as a master to make a personal connection with one individual. Right? Your ritual is a formal communication. Anybody seen an enterprise degree that just didn't go on right? What message do we send that new enterprise?
You don't have it all down.
Don't have it all down, or you don't care?
Yeah. Hopefully we won't find out until later.
Hopefully I'll find that out later, but to be honest, we all know
Yeah.
when something's really screwed up. I mean, we've had it happen. When you walk into the muffler shop and the guy goes, well, we found a few other problems with your car. You know something's not right. It's just, it sticks with you. Knowing your ritual is important. Stated communications, because guess what? You're conducting business at the lodge. If you're running stated communications and it looks like you're trying to hide how you're financing something, what does it make the rest of the lodge look like? The way you do business is communication. Your behavior is communication. Right? Those are responsibilities, how they should be assigned. Some of the pitfalls for email and personal touch. What's one of the things that can happen with email? When you write a letter, can people tell how you're feeling at the time you write it? Sometimes you feel like calling somebody a four-letter word and kicking them because they did something extremely silly and stupid. But can you really convey that in an email?
Sarcasm doesn't work in writing.
Nope.
Sarcasm doesn't work in writing. And if you have students like I do, they take everything literally. Humor doesn't always work. So when you email somebody, two things wrong can happen with emails, like I said. I like the last one there. Read in angry kitty mode before sending. What does that mean?
Angry kitty mode.
Angry kitty mode. But if your wife was ticked off and she read that, would you be in trouble? Is it true? Have you ever sent an email off that, oops?
In the heat of the moment when you're getting down there, you've got 3 pages, and then it's wait before you hit send, go back and read over again, and say, oh, no.
Sometimes that's the best way to get the person you're sending it to react.
Remember, that's depending on your target. Remember, the target is part of your message, right? Right. I just want to, because those are the ones that will get you in trouble there, it's your email ones. Those are the ones that, or make sure you checked who you hit the CC button to.
Ooh.
Yeah, oops.
Hit reply all. Hit reply all.
Yeah, is it to the right target? Mass mailing to the lodge for one person making a mistake. Then you just look like you look like you're wearing something else on your head. People just don't like you very much, right? And whether it's intentional or not, I hope that all being brother Masons, we realize that when these things happen, 90% of the time, it's not intentional. Right? Look at the third bullet under trustworthy. How many people get more than 40% of their lodge to attend?
If we had 40% of our lives, we wouldn't have enough room for them.
I'm lucky. I get 40% of my lodge to show up. I'm lucky, but we didn't start off that way. My first master was lucky to get 15 people to show up. I was happy to be able to fill all my seats. Now we're close to 40%, and that's nice. But some of those guys, and here's the thing we don't think about. We communicate with all the members of our lodge. Sometimes the only contact they have with us is email and trust. When's the last time you went to a retirement center? Or a home to visit one of your lodge members? That's in your master's charge. To try and visit each one of your members. Man, it's kind of hard if they're in Phoenix, but I mean, you got guys living in the same town, just because they're in a home across the way and can't make it every Thursday night or a third Thursday. All right. Facebook is a nice broadcast method, especially for your calendars. You get someone set up to Facebook, they can put a post on there and everybody has a smartphone, suddenly it appears on their calendar. That's something new for you guys. When I first started, we didn't have that option, it didn't transmit to it. But I'm really starting to like being able to see my calendar up here and everybody that posts on that, suddenly it pops up on a calendar. So-and-so's going to visit, Yancey C. Blaylock. Cool. Man, I can take a ride with them and go in. All right? Pitfalls to avoid, jargon. What's jargon?
Terminology selected to one group.
Yeah, selective to one group. Me being in the military had lots of acronyms that nobody knew.
Snafus, yafus, foobar.
Humor, personal opinions. This is specifically for officers in the lodge, personal opinions. Everybody has a right to express an opinion, right?
No,
But should you?
This is the key, but should you? And also, your position dictates when and where you can. On your lodge site, is it appropriate for a worship master or a mason to express his personal opinion on the lodge Facebook page? Which means when you do a Facebook page, you have to have somebody that's going to sit there and watch it as part of your communication plan to make sure that they check posts and remove those opinions. And then you have to have a plan to how do I communicate that back to the member in the most friendly manner, right? In an endeavor to aid its reclamation, right? Negative allocations, right? Those should be addressed in a personal manner, right? Which, if you want to talk about that, we'll talk about that in my conflict management class later on. But it's 2 to 3 people together. Off the cuff comments, getting off the message. Mixed messages. All right, could be semi-casual, but I want you to show up in suits or tuxes. What? We're gonna have dinner and not tell you what the color codes are. Mixed messages, right? The information released late, a paternalistic attitude. Especially as worshipful master and officers in the lodge. You will be their courthouse. Right? You can't stand up there in the east going, because we all know that everybody's looking at you like, right. Number 4 is important. Rumors and myths in real time. It's especially your jobs as officers of the lodge or people that want to become leaders of the lodge, that you are the rumor stompers. Unless someone knows for sure it's a fact, if it is a fact, then maybe you need to escalate it in the proper format according to code. But if not, you should stop it immediately. This causes disharmony within the lodge, and that is your specific job according to your charges as master, warden of the lodge, to make sure that it doesn't happen. Plus, it creates harmony, and when you have harmony, people tend to want to be around, right? Right? Public power struggles and confusion. Power struggle. This is my float. I'm going to do it the way I want to. Right? The master's way is the only way to do it.
Or the secretary,
Or the
who wants to
secretary.
run the lodge because he's been there.
Yeah, he leans over and says, "Worshipful master, you need to do this." Right?
I don't know, it's so hard to find a secretary, I tend to go with that guy.
Right? One of the things you can solve that problem is knowing the code yourself.
Your favorite beer, your favorite dessert.
It's a lot of reading, but guess what? It's worth it. Right? And of course, the 5 steps that help you. says, be the first source for information, which means keep your people informed at all times. Don't wait for them to ask you a question. If you have an event plan, you should have your plan together so you can tell them all the information up front. Not waiting till the last week and going, by the way, where's the lunch picnic?
Is this a trick box?
What?
Is this a trick box? 5 communication steps, but they're 4 points.
Yeah. Does that come down to a mixed message?
A little bit.
What I think is funny, that last one you just said got me in trouble once. I thought I told everybody something. I mean, the first person out the gate, I told a few people thinking I told everybody. But we got the message.
Yeah, we got the message.
We
So,
actually tell everybody.
how many people have done risk management? Okay, guess what? This is all about Stark. Simple, timely, accurate, relative. Nobody wants to hear a message that has nothing to do with it, right? That's when your emails become in the trash box, right? Credible and consistent. I'll say it again. Simple, timely, accurate, relative, credible, and consistent. All right. Consistent is going to be the hardest part. Because you have to get everybody on the same sheet of music. All your leaders have to be saying the same message. All right? Because if you're out there saying one thing, the secretary goes out and says something else, who are they going to believe? The secretary, of course.
He's been.
All right, we're not going to go through all those things. So what I would like you to do, those last kind of steps are kind of silly. What I'd like you to do now is kind of group together. We got about 5-6 minutes left. Group together in groups. There we go. This side and over to this side. I want you to think about ways that you can make sure your message gets out in a consistent manner. How are you going to work together as, I used to call it the 5 horsemen. Secretary, or I included the secretary, so he was the 6th horseman. Worshipful master, senior, junior warden, senior, junior deacons, because they're in your line, right? So you make sure you're all putting out the same information every week, so that your goals for your year get put across in a timely, accurate, credible manner. In a simple manner, because if you have a 37-page message, guess what? How many things can you guys remember at one time?
One.
One?
Yeah.
How many numbers are in your phone number?
One.
Yeah, speed dial, right?
One string.
More than 7 numbers, guess what? Not gonna happen. So you gotta keep it simple. All right, so take about 3 or 4 minutes to kind of discuss that.